Here's a news flash for you. Mel doesn't need my help.
I absolutely adore Doc. He's brilliant, he's clever, he cracks me up every time he speaks. He's charming, and I swear to God, if you are gonna scorn like a Scotsman.
Have you seen any of her videos? Or is this just a thing that you're trying to do this divide and conquer, that Mel needs my help because I have testicles for some reason?
Howdy!
Howdy there.
Hey, hi everyone.
How are you? How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. We are glutting. Well, I speak for myself anyway. I've been glutting on the blood of innocents all morning, and I'm doing pretty good.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, pretty much me too. We've been spending a little bit more time than is strictly healthy with Tila Tequila and a certain TI called John or something else.
Yeah. Barbara Walters said we did a great job with that interview. So.
yeah, you guys are moving on up, man.
Oh yeah, Tila Tequila, we're moving on up.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Our hoes are getting skankier than ever.
True.
And she never fails to deliver on the Skank Fest, does old Tila.
And we're getting in our time with her because soon she'll be in a padded cell and unable to make live streams. So enjoy it while you can.
She'll be smuggling out little bits of toilet paper with "I am Jesus" written on them. And
We've seen how this goes.
yeah.
Speaking of toilet paper, I need to take a moment and say.
I thought you were going to say I need to take a shit. I was like, what? Just started.
No, speaking of toilet paper, I need to take a moment and say I am presenting awards on Hannibal and Monty's shit show for, so I'm presenting an award on that. I was actually a nominee for best guest, so that's kind of cool. And I wrote, they sent me what I needed to say on toilet paper because their awards are the golden turds, and
nice.
So I had to read off a toilet paper. So look for that, guys. I think that's next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hannibal and Monty, definitely big friends of the show and lovely, lovely people. But guys, stop going on Drunken Peasants because it's crap.
Yeah, I haven't been good in years.
Yeah. I mean, it was good when TJ was on it and committed, but now it's like a sad... I mean, they've got one fat bastard, so I guess they're covering their bases. But guys, stop jumping on stories we covered 3 weeks ago. It doesn't make you look good.
To be fair, we stole Patrick from them, and they were good that one time I was on there. That was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that one time. I mean, they won't have us back on there because we'll out-funny them and outsmart
exactly
them.
It.
Yeah.
They took a big risk inviting me on that first time. So.
I have yet to be on that particular show. I know other people have.
Don't do it,
hey,
Mel.
don't do
It's
it.
kiss of death.
They're communists, I heard. So,
Oh boy, I wonder what response videos are going to come out now. ScientistMel is all about hating on people. It's just okay, sure.
You can just blame it on us. Everybody knows that about us.
Oh God, I won't even get into all of that.
Yeah, it's probably not a can of worms to open.
Yeah, it's a whole list. If I were to believe everything that I heard of people say about it, I should be like super villain level at this point. I really think I deserve my own comic book now.
Well,
like these idiots always do, they get so close, but then so far from the truth. I mean, they think that we are gang stalkers, and we are. Just not in the way they think.
It's really fun. I saw a post on, I think it was doing the rounds somewhere, either on one of these social media sites, where there is an anti-vaxxer that was saying essentially, we need to just get portions of the live virus and inject that into people, more natural way.
Yeah.
For immunity.
Yeah. Guess what, genius? That's what we do, you idiots.
It's like we heard. They've worked themselves background. They've been so super anti-vax to the point they've gotten back to where the science actually is. And I'm like,
isn't it funny? Go ahead.
No, you, Michael. Go for it.
Isn't it funny? Like, they take such contrarian positions because they think it makes them look smart, and then they work themselves, like you just said, completely full circle back around, and somehow still think that they're smarter than the people who have maintained the same position the whole time.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be really cool if we could work out the precise epitopes on the antigens that are necessary for an effective immunological response, and then express them in an organism that isn't the parent organism and is innocuous, and then formulate them in a way that's sterile and stable, and then give them to people? Oh shit, that's what my job is.
Yeah.
You're melting my brain with all this science lingo.
Well, how about we get to on topic then? Why don't you tell everybody, Omni, where they can find you first before we get into all that? This is your second appearance on the show, so awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I was supposed to appear last month, but I had to, chase down somebody who escaped my basement, so I had to cancel. But you can find me on the Omni Eris channel. On Wednesdays, I do usually it's a solo show, but I have guests or we have special occasions. And then on Saturdays, Doc and I do the Psychic Vampires podcast, all of that on the Omni Eris channel. So
it's there in the link in the description. So click on that, guys, and go check it out. I've been on your show, I think twice now. I think it's twice.
Yeah, with Drag once and with Doc once.
Yes, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I learned
End of the
things.
show. And also, make sure you give this video a thumb up because it helps things and whatnot and algorithms and such. Do it. Do it now.
Yes.
Do it.
So.
How they do it.
Right now, right now, right now, right now, right now.
Oh my God. I'm gonna make you another Wern remix, I think, called Zoom Baby.
Oh, that was a good one. It's an underrated classic. Zoom baby, zoom, 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 baby, zoom, zoom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, anyone interested in the world's darkest, greasiest creep show, please check out and subscribe to Lucas Werner's channel if it's the kind of thing that, does it for you.
I will say, Tila hasn't bathed in 4 days, so she is now possibly second greasiest creep show.
Possibly.
Oh God, yes. Well, bless. Okay, so this is the last episode of Oraldacity. Doc has real life things that have come up and stuff. So
yeah, it's been a great deal of fun. We've had a great run. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but pressure of stuff. So I'm probably going to be going on another secret mission fairly soon, which will necessitate me moving from where I am to a new place to do.
Not Botswana, right?
It's not Botswana this time.
It's dangerous over there.
yeah.
So yeah, this is the last show that I'll be on, but I'm convinced that Mel will continue her massive trajectory of success and eminence, and will remain a friend of all of the shows.
Of all the shows.
Yeah.
You don't want to be friends with some of those shows, though.
Yeah, I've kind of I separate myself from different shows on purpose because, oh my God, have you seen those shows? So.
Well, which of the shows are we discussing? Which are the ones that you would steer well clear of? Come on, Mel.
Steer clear of Unirock because he's a duplicitous little turd. Just kidding. He's a great guy who pays his taxes. I don't want to talk. I don't want to be negative.
Okay. So, how about
I'm a very positive person.
Yeah.
I'll take this moment to plug a revamp of a series that I'm bringing back with new screens and stuff called This Week in BS. Doc's been on that one before.
Awesome.
It was This Week in Bad Science, but we call it BS. And so we'll be going after the likes of Gwyneth Paltrow. That's all.
Oh, she has a vagina candle now.
Yeah, I have videos about that, so we can talk about that today too.
I saw a meme that said, "Oh, you can't afford Gwyneth Paltrow's new candle," and it just had a can of tuna with a birthday candle in the center of it.
God, you think that would probably it if we're gonna get real, but she probably threw in some lemongrass in there and maybe some patchouli.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it smells like, Gwyneth.
That sounds like dinner to me. Like kind of tuna with a birthday candle in it.
That's Lucas Werner's dinner, okay?
Oh my goodness, there's so many euphemisms to be had from that.
Hi, Reem C.
Oh, hey guys. So today I thought we could talk about politics. we have lots we could discuss in the realm of politicians. And Reemsy gave is that a sticker? Super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. So so politics. Let's see. So we have lots of different choices. So let me just kind of go down a list, and you guys can let me know what you would like to watch. We've got old classics of Todd Aiken and legitimate rape. We've got Ben Carson saying being gay is a choice. We've got Bernie Sanders questioning Betsy DeVos. We've got Mitch McConnell. We've got all of the crazy things that Marianne Williamson has said, including about vaccines. She's no longer running for president, guys. So she was like really bent on
Good.
it.
Did you mention Rick Santorum? Because I actually hate that guy, and I have a lot to say about him.
Okay, so I do have a video of Rick Santorum wanting to fight about birth control. So how about we start there and have a look? You might need to turn that volume up a bit on that video because he's like, I think talking in I think it looks like he's at a school. I'm not certain. So let's have a look at that video first.
One of the things I will talk about that no president has talked about before is I think the dangers of contraception in this country. The whole sexual libertine idea. Many in the Christian faith have said, well, that's okay. I mean, contraception's okay. It's not okay because it's a license to do things.
Contraception.
In the sexual realm.
Okay, contraception is a license. So did you guys? So he said it's not okay and it's dangerous and it's a license.
It's a license. He was going to say to fornicate, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Let's see what else he has to say. I'm sorry. It was just a lot of background noises. Is he at a school? Do you think he's at a school?
He's probably in a room full of children, for God's sake.
I wanted to point out, he goes, one thing I would talk about that no other president has talked about, and I just have to look back and not really, but, in my head, laugh and laugh and laugh, because he actually ran for president thinking that he was going to be president one day, and some moron like Donald Trump actually outpaced him. So, and now he's been photographed with that Russian lady who got arrested last year. So we know he's just like doing the bidding of the Russians. So I don't know. I just think it's funny that these people have the nerve to go out and tell anybody what to do.
I first discovered Rick Santorum when he was being a homophobic idiot and just grotesquely offensive about many different issues. So it's nice to see that he hasn't changed his bigot spots.
No.
Well, let's see. I think he gets even further about the dangers of contraception.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
let's find out.
Let's see what he says. If he can talk louder. God, Rick. Project.
That is counter to how things are supposed to be. They're supposed to be within marriage. They're supposed to be for purposes that are, yes, conjugal, but also immunitive, but also procreative. And that's the perfect way that a sexual union should happen. And when we take any part of that out, we diminish the end. If you can take one part out, it's not for the purposes of procreation. That's not one of the reasons. Then you diminish this very special bond between men and women. Mm-hmm. So why can't you take other parts of it out? And all of a sudden it becomes deconstructed to the point where it's simply pleasure. And that's certainly a part of it. And it's an important part of it, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of things we do for pleasure. Mm-hmm. And this is special, and it needs to be seen.
This guy is a flaming queen. Again, there is no way. Like, he doesn't have any respect for women. He clearly doesn't care about women to the point where he wants them to be in control of their own lives or bodies based on his long career. I just don't believe this is a guy who loves women. I just don't believe. Oh, it's cutting out now.
Are we frozen?
Oh, okay. I thought that the whole thing stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, but my point is made, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Am I live? My video is frozen, but can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can.
Yeah, I agree, Michael, but I'll go one step further. I think this is a guy who at no point in his life has considered women to actually be people.
Agreed. He thinks they're like livestock.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting because he was like, we can't encourage any kind of contraception because it's going to eliminate the purpose of sex, which is procreation. The odds of getting pregnant, even when you're trying, is still kind of low. So however many times you have to actually do it in order to get pregnant is a thing. Okay. All birth control does is allow a person to say, even though the odds are low of me actually getting pregnant, I don't want that to actually happen. So I'm going to reduce those odds a bit further. So it's just, but to make the assumption that procreation is the sole purpose of sex, it's a terrible way to, to actually, if that's what the purpose is, you would think it would be better at it.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous to make that claim because prove it. Is that the only purpose of it? Well, many animals in the animal kingdom have sex non-procreatively and sometimes even in a gay way. And it has
bonobos in a circle and then mutual masturbate.
I didn't know that. That's weird.
Yeah, bonobos are dirty. They're dirty monkeys, man.
Well,
they're at it all the time.
Otters and penguins are pretty perverse too. Like necrophilia is fairly common.
Gay relationships among penguins.
Oh God, ducks are very rapey and just.
Oh, that's true.
And
isn't that why the duck? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Isn't that why the duck develops such like a weird vagina? Is to like prevent. Yeah, there's like multiple. There's like 4 of them or something, and it's like a maze to get in the real one. And then the male duck developed the corkscrew penis to help him more adequately rape the female ducks. So evolution.
And they can close off their real vagina. So it's like. Oh,
really?
They can. They can close it right off and be like, yeah, nah, you blocked. You're not gonna be my baby's daddy. You going down the fake way.
I wish humans had that ability. So,
I mean, I'm going to speculate that Rick Santorum may be a flaming queen, but he's one of the type that finds anything sexual icky, and he just doesn't want to think about it, doesn't want other people to be doing it and enjoying it because it's icky for him.
Well, just because he had a bad anal sex experience doesn't mean that sex has to be bad for everybody. So he needs to grow up.
I agree, and I think it's kind of funny when you have this idea that it's solely for procreation. If that's the only, it's like, okay, it's time for us to like, is there like some kind of ritual like they used to have, like with the kings and stuff, we have to see them actually have the sex in front of us. Okay.
It's like in Midsummer. That's how Christians have sex.
It's like, we're going to have the laying down and the possible making babyship, it's like.
Yeah. And the whole rhetoric breaks down when you examine straight couples who aren't doing the quiverful thing and people who are unable to have kids. And there are many of those as a function of age or other things. So those people are on the outs too. But he doesn't factor that in. It's only about the icky side that he's really that bothered.
And if it's icky, you're doing it wrong, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're asexual,
The funny thing about when these people go on about how the purpose is procreation, we mentioned earlier, like there's homosexuality in the animal kingdom, and they always say it's unnatural with humans, and they're always trying to determine what is natural for humans sexually. But how can a human do anything that is unnatural? Because humans are a part of nature. So even if you don't like something, serial killing, like that does naturally occur. Doesn't mean it's good or people should do it, but you can't deny that is something that happens in nature. Homosexuality, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying, like, that's probably not the best way to make that point. But
your point is well made, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you can mix them. Jeffrey Dahmer did it to great fame.
And cannibalism. It's great.
Yeah. Also natural.
All of these things happen in nature, and judge not lest thee be judged. But again, it's the icky factor, and I think it just is a downplayed form of bigotry. Rick Santorum wants everyone in the world to live in the world exactly like him in his button-down, slightly too tightly wrapped affluent, frustrated Midwest American model.
Yeah,
And guess what, douchebag? Most of us aren't there.
we never will be. And these
Don't
morons
want to
don't
be.
realize they're outnumbered. So you
Yeah.
can't force people to do what you want when you're outnumbered by billions of them. So
And
give it a rest.
And Rick, it isn't 1952 anymore. I'm really sorry to tell you this, Brady, but we moved on. You are the retarded one in this equation, in the full sense of the word.
They are trying to take us back, though. They seem like, with all of these judges that are getting pushed through since Donald Trump got elected, we are having a lot of rights rolled back in America now. So these Christians are kind of getting their way just because they scream really loud. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
It really kind of is. I have a question for you guys. Did you guys see about the news where there was one particular law where they were going to re-implant ectopic pregnancies?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I have the video on that. It's medical professionals had to come out and say, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. So
the guy who drafted it didn't even know what an ectopic pregnancy is. He admitted it. Yeah. And they were going to charge women with murder for having it removed. It's like, they're going to die if they don't.
And this is more close to home than most people realize. Approximately 1 in 50 pregnancies is ectopic. And the risk to the mother to the lady is death. And this is something that's happened within my family. And I'm delighted that my niece was able to get life-saving surgery before she fucking died, you know?
Right. Oh, God. So we've got a video on that. It's medical professionals refute that ectopic relocation claim. So let's pull that video up and have a look to see what the news said.
Under fire tonight for.
Let's pull up that video. We got it. There we go. Cool.
A state lawmaker is under fire tonight for a bill that would outlaw insurance coverage for abortions in Ohio. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colleen Marshall.
I'm Mark Taylor. Part of the outrage has to do with ectopic pregnancies. And as our Jason Aubrey reports, something the lawmaker claims that some say is medically impossible. Jason
And
Aubrey
Jason's joining us from the State House tonight.
An
Jason?
ectopic pregnancy. Good afternoon, everyone. An ectopic pregnancy happens when a fertilized egg attaches to the wrong place, usually in the fallopian tubes. But this can
Is that guy
happen in other
holding his
places as well.
phone?
Ultimately,
Yeah.
How professional. Look what, the news used to be like a very almost sacred kind of performance, and now it's like, hold on a second. Yeah, ectopic pregnancies are, dude, come on,
Yeah.
put your phone away.
He is reading the Wikipedia definition of an ectopic pregnancy,
Right.
by the way.
That's probably what he's doing.
That's probably sitting there going, oh my God, ectopic pregnancies. Yeah, guys, they're bad. They're really bad. They're not okay at all.
No.
How do people not know what that is? I'm gay, and I've known what that is for a long time. And I shouldn't have
Michael-
nothing. I shouldn't even know about vaginas and wombs.
But Michael, you're intelligent, interested, and honest.
Also,
Yeah.
some reports speculate that I'm only pretending to be gay. So something else to think about, ladies.
Oh yeah, there's a
my
big
God.
scandal about our alleged hot monkey love, Mike. By the way,
That's true. Yeah, the rumors going around that me and Doc are secret gay lovers.
Yeah.
So
When is the tape coming out?
it already
Well.
did on Time Cube Diamond.
yeah, I've responded to them by saying, if you want to upset Mike or myself, you need to work harder because I'm not insulted at all. I would be the luckiest man in the world if that was true, but it's not. And call me
You wouldn't
gay,
be
and I'll
that
say
lucky.
no. Well, I might be the luckiest man in Westchester, maybe, but
Oh, probably not even there. So
Oh my goodness.
I'm so
Um,
wounded. Yeah, I'm a big homo. Right. Let's get
Yeah.
on with it.
Oh,
And the people who
God.
are spreading the rumors are like people with criminal records for dealing drugs, and it's just like, dude, like, shut up. Your records are public, so
Yeah.
you can knock it off,
I mean,
morons.
I actually did a wee bit of research on one of them, and the guy's very talented as a musician, but he's like 300 pounds. He's got tattoos all over his face.
And of course, the
And
government's reading his mind.
yeah,
Oh God. Do you guys want to see what else they had to say about the ectopic
yeah,
pregnancies?
Yeah,
definitely.
we can keep
Okay,
going.
cool.
I
Let's-
just got off on a tangent.
It's okay. It happens here.
That phone threw me off.
This pregnancy, which cannot be carried to term, can pose a serious mortal risk to the mother.
Representative John Becker says, due to the risk to the life of the mother, his bill provides an exception to allow for ectopic pregnancies to be terminated or moved to the uterus.
Well, that's not an easy solution, but it is possible. It's medically possible to do that, and this bill
No,
allows
it's
for
not.
that procedure, and it specifically states
It's
that that procedure is
theoretically
not
possible, but grossly impractical in almost all cases to do
And-
anything like that.
And it's literally like a clump of cell. If it's ectopic to the point where it needs surgery, it's still pretty fucking small. Freaking small.
It's
Like,
okay.
it's- There's not like I mean, I guess they think birth begins at conception, so I guess that's their point, but that's a really stupid point, like, that only a moron believes. So
And they're making the assumption that you can actually remove something that small and not cause any tissue damage to the fertilized egg.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is no.
no, exactly.
That isn't a thing.
No. And there's no FDA or medical approved procedure in order to get that to happen. There's nothing. They don't have any kind of treatment. There's no procedure to reimplant an originally ectopic pregnancy into the uterus. It's just not there.
I think he's probably looking at things like in vitro fertilization and in vitro implantation and making the assumption that if you can do that, you can do this. But these are not the same thing.
No.
didn't they withdraw the bill eventually?
Yes, they had to because the
'Cause
medical
it's stupid
community.
and makes no sense.
Yeah, so we've had Dr. Leah Torres on our show before, and she's coming back in February to talk about the potential of Roe versus Wade being overturned. Nate will be on that show.
Cannot believe we're discussing that as a reality.
Yes. She's been on my channel a couple of times. She's amazing. But, I was like messaging her. I'm like, oh my God, have you seen this? And she immediately started going, what is wrong with you? And just like, there's no way you can reimplant. And there's nothing, the damage to the tissue is extremely huge. And then you've got you just saved the mom's life. And then she has to recover from that. So trying to reimplant a fertilized egg into a woman that's recovering from major surgery, how are you going to do that?
Even if you
It's
could.
sadistic.
Yeah. But again, this guy doesn't think that women are people. He probably thinks that they're interesting creatures around him, but there's a disconnect there. And if there are any women in his life, I'm surprised that none of them have punched him in his face. Maybe they have.
God.
Yeah, maybe they have. Well, he's more likely to have punched them, I think. So, based on what we know about these kinds of people.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so we know that's a thing and people are stupid. We've talked about birth control. We talked about reimplanting ectopic pregnancies, which is not a thing, guys. They don't really have a medical procedure for that. And why you would want to put a woman through that is just, anyway. Okay, so.
Because they hate women. That's why they want to do it.
I think I'm inclined to agree. Oh my gosh. Everything that I hear on the news, I'm like, I'm going to take a news break today and just not read the news about all of the awfulness that they're doing.
Be a little insanity inducing.
I'm a student of history, particularly military and European history, and fascism, people. develops and they never announce it. It's never in the newspaper. It's like, today we're going to be a fascist state. It's
It always
progressive.
comes in through the back door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you start taking away people's freedom of bodily autonomy, then you start rolling back the Civil Rights Act. But you don't ever roll it back. You just don't enforce it anymore, as is kind of progressively happening in the US.
If I could like make a weird kind of paranoid, not paranoid exactly, but conspiratorial kind of suggestion, you know, if you have a society where unwanted children are born regularly, those children are very easy to get because they're unhappy. So they're always searching for some kinds of answers. Those are the kinds of people that are easy to manipulate and, you know, keep the wheels of this giant shit show rolling. I mean, you need unhappy people so you can sell them religion, you can sell them all kinds of bull crap. I mean, and also they're pretty good consumers too.
Yeah, fascism to grow depends on an undercurrent of fear pervasive throughout a culture, and a little bit of stress, usually economic, but not always. And if you create an enemy that's outside of your state, and in the US case, it's basically anyone brown and far away, it's easy to rally idiots around the flag. It doesn't matter what the flag is. They'll follow it.
Yeah, they even waved Nazi flags and Confederate flags. Like, both of those were defeated by Americans and were waving their flags around over here. Well, not only Americans defeated the Nazis, but...
One of the most chilling sights that I have ever experienced was the, I think it was the Charleston Nazi march, where American guys are wandering up the street chanting, "The Jews will not replace us."
Yeah, that was disturbing. And Donald Trump says good people on both sides.
Oh, God. You know,
specifically in reference to that. Sorry, Mel.
Oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, while I'm not like entirely political in a lot of stuff I do, but it's actually impossible to separate, any kind of science communication without touching on the effect of politics. I mean, in society. I mean, society often drives the direction of research. In addition to that, the funding associated with governmental bodies and what's allowed and what's not allowed. We're going to outlaw this. We're going to say that's okay. This other thing's not. And the fact that I have to constantly point out to people, just because science said a thing was a thing 50 years ago, it doesn't mean it stays that way. So we're looking at redefining, a little bit of what biological sex actually means because of the ever-present of intersex and things like that. And how do we put that in there? So, but people seem to think, no, it's just got to be this one thing because science said it was that way. Look at freaking atomic theory. It started out saying like big things were made of teeny tiny things. And now we have the quantum model. You modify stuff. And so when society's like, no, or politics, we can't modify that. You're like, that's not what science does. We tweak the model with new information. And it just makes me nuts.
And there's a direct impact as well. And, it's very close to my wheelhouse. So all of the stuff that I've been doing recently involving derived pluripotent stem cells that basically cure various cancers and various other things, none of that work could be developed in the US because George Bush said stem cells, no. And even at the moment, it is allowed in the US environment at the moment, but the bigger companies have a strategy to pull out because it's viewed to be a politically unstable environment where that whole industry can be turned off because someone thinks that stem cells come from dead babies.
Yeah, it's really weird how we could be using that to cure all kinds of things, and yet it just to protect Christians, we're not creating potentially revolutionary, society-altering technologies or whatever. Now I sound like an idiot.
No,
I mean, if you extend their rhetoric too much further out, it's diseases are natural, so medicine isn't. Therefore, people should be dying of plague and smallpox and whatnot.
That's kind of what they believe, Doc.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I have a video from Marianne Williamson, who gets on a huge platform. She was on The View, which I don't ever watch that show. Apparently, a lot of women watch that show, and I should probably see what the other white women are doing.
I would just suggest that you don't watch it.
I don't ever watch it, but she talks about how, she was an anti-vaxxer, and so let's see, it's Mary Williamson talks vaccinations on The View, and she also gets into big pharma and all this. So this was a presidential candidate, and she's a woo pusher. If you look at her Twitter at all, it looks like Gwyneth Paltrow and Deepak Chopra had a baby. So
awesome. Didn't she tell gay men who had AIDS not to take medication and to simply pray to get better?
Yes.
She probably did. She
did. She's a vile human being.
I understand the reasoning behind that to be that, well, you're gay and God is punishing you, so you can pray for forgiveness and he might make the HIV go away. No, that isn't real. It's a virus. It's spread by many things, including sexual contact. That's it, and that's all. And it's treatable. And you know why? Because smart people invented medicines to treat it.
She doesn't believe in medicine, though. Medicine is the tool of the enemy, or something. I don't know.
Let's see what she has to say about big pharma. So let's take a look at that video on The View. They rip her a new one a little bit. So.
Okay.
Let me just say something. You're talking a lot about the children of America, the children, how much you care about children. You also just came out as the anti-vaxxer candidate. You said,
I did not.
Well, let me finish. You think mandatory vaccines, calling a mandate on them would be, quote, draconian and Orwellian. So what do you say to children and the parents of children who are going through chemotherapy and would be exposed to measles without that, and to all the people suffering out there because of the measles outbreak?
Millions of Americans. First of all, I am not anti-vaccine, and I'm certainly not.
Then why would you say that?
I think I think I misspoke in that one sentence, but I'd like to express myself. The fact that you have a problem, and this is part of the same problem we're talking about here, the fact that you have a problem with the
Do you remember when she first appeared on stage and she had that Southern accent? And she was like, when I'm president, I'm going to call the president of Iceland and say, sister, we're back in business. And then, like, she was super drunk, too. And then the next time she wasn't drunk and the accent was gone.
Yeah. And the president of Iceland is a dude.
Oh, is it? I don't remember what country she said.
Because my boy used to swim with this.
Uh-oh, it's breaking up.
He's breaking up.
And then we would hang.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can hear you now.
It stuttered out for like 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who this woman is, but she's a nutbag, I think.
Presidential candidate.
She was. She got in a debate and everything. I find her views when she gets into talking about big pharma. Let's watch the video a bit longer and see what she has to say. She jumps on this train and just doesn't get off.
Which big pharma and the CDC and the FDA are so cozy so that millions of Americans who are not anti-science and are not anti-vaccine have some deep concerns. The days of blind faith in big pharma are over. The days of blind faith in the idea that the government...
Right. Let me. Okay. I've worked for small pharma, medium, and big pharma. I'm a consultant in the biotech industry. It's what I've been doing for 25 years. The CDC doesn't have anything to do with big pharma. It's a reporting organization. The FDA is not cozied up to big pharma because guess what? The FDA can shut your ass down and do on a regular basis based on the required legal audits to ensure safety and efficacy. So the FDA is a bit like the cops, and we're a bit like the community, and they police us based on the best understanding of what constitutes safety and efficacy. So what she's saying here is factually incorrect.
Are you saying you know more about the U.S. government than a presidential candidate?
Well, I know more about the biotech industry, and she's just dog whistling to tards here.
That's what she does.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. She even goes on in this particular interview to say, "When I'm president," so we're like, "Oh, honey."
Yeah,
You-
never going to happen, love.
You know, what was really disturbing to me this election cycle is there were really good candidates who got terrible press, got crapped on, and basically pushed out of the race because they didn't have any money because of the stupid new rules the DNC has, or people saying they're not going to take money from billionaires. I don't know why. That's moronic. But
super PACs, yeah.
right. And Marianne Williamson doesn't need to take. I mean, she took money, but she's already rich, so she gets favorable press, and people like the Young Turks and even MSNBC were randomly floating her as a serious candidate, and Tulsi Gabbard, while pushing out like serious good candidates with experience. So I don't know what's going on in America. Maybe it's the same thing that made Donald Trump president, but it's like celebrities are not good politicians, and they should not suddenly be swept into office and like a wave. I don't know. It's just, I'm scared. I'm scared to see what celebrities are going to do to this country now that they have free reign to run for office.
Yeah.
I mean, they always did, but it's getting crazy.
You've got a reality TV B-list star as president, so what do you expect?
Who failed at everything he ever did, except
Yeah.
for making himself look like an ass. Everybody thinks that was successful.
And I want to look back briefly to the FDA thing and discuss again briefly how it came to be. The FDA evolved as a direct response to unregulated, non-effective, potentially dangerous medicines, a la snake oil.
Yeah.
And it became apparent that if you didn't know the medicine that you were taking, or what it did, or whether it was made in an appropriate way, you can die really easily. And thousands of people over history have done so. So when you take an aspirin, you can be guaranteed that it is aspirin, that it was made appropriately, that it's pure, and that the dosage is accurate. And that's the FDA's function, and that's it, and that's all.
It's pretty interesting. If you ever make your way out to New Orleans, I actually did an episode of Spirited Science where I went through a tour through the pharmacy museum in New Orleans. The very first licensed pharmacist in the U.S. was in New Orleans. And so at the time, long time ago, they decided that maybe we need to have some kind of governing body to ensure that we get these individuals some kind of certification. They have to pass a test.
Right.
Something.
It used to
It's
be like witch doctors were the pharmacists.
And so that was well established, like around in the 1800s or so, something like that, where they're like, maybe we should do something about this, to where they're not just giving like, I don't know, mercury to people going, hey, this will fix your thing permanently forever.
Can I just, Mel, can you, I've had Doc elaborate on this. Could you elaborate on the dangers of handling mercury too frequently, just in case anyone in the audience might have a problem with that? Because there might be somebody in the audience who handles mercury without gloves every once in a while.
If it's elemental mercury, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. You can have poisoning. But this is where you get into a little bit of chemistry. People are like, well, there's mercury in vaccines and stuff. Well, it's not elemental mercury. It's attached to other things that make it not toxic. Now, if you were to try to put sodium metal in your mouth's going to catch on fire.
Really?
And it's explosive with water, guys. Chlorine gas is toxic by itself. You put the two things together, you get a tasty thing to put on your French fries. So this is where you got to kind of understand things mixed with each other are fine, but by itself in elemental form is not always a good idea.
Exactly.
There you go.
And the mercury compound that was in some vaccines and still is in very few, but some, thimerosal, is included at 0.0005% volume.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe twice that, but we're talking about minute amounts. And it's included for a reason. And guess what that reason is? It stops bacteria and fungus growing.
Wow. I thought
So-
the aliens put it in there to weaken human DNA so that we can't fight back when they come to take over. Nibiru's due back any day now. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
put
know.
the thimerosal in before the nanotech.
yeah.
But that's something that it's an ever problem. One thing that I kind of keep my eyes on is the National Science Foundation does scientific literacy studies worldwide I think it's every 2 years. We're getting dumber, guys. We're getting dumber. The numbers, and it's the same freaking questions they ask every single time. Usually at least 1,000 participants, and they go through with the demographics. We're getting dumber. So it's just kind of
It's failure of our education system. How do you feel about Common Core? Because when I see the way they do some of these math problems, I'm like, that doesn't, like, it's so much easier to just do things the way that we used to, and it was still correct. So it almost seems like stumbling blocks for, like, if you had like a 90 something IQ, you might have been able to do this math problem 20 years ago that today you just can't do. You can't figure out all of this new formula. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I used to teach, so I completely understand what you're saying. At the time that I was teaching, Common Core was budding and becoming an emerging thing. When I grew up, we didn't have No Child Left Behind, so you were taught critical thinking. You had stuff that was going on. You had pathways in high school. If you wanted to get certified to work on cars, you would have that certification in hand with your degree. That's not the case now. There a lot of states are like, we want every kid to go to college, and so they try
What's
to make
the point
every
if they're
student
stupid
college ready.
though?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing. So what they're trying to do, because they went through the whole A, B, C, and D tests, which was pick the correct answer, which is what I had to teach for a while. It was rote memory and I tried to incorporate critical thinking, but there just wasn't much time because there's so much content they had to learn. But they weren't learning how to think at all from the early age because of No Child Left Behind. They had to perform well on tests or schools wouldn't get money. And that's what it came down to. And they're like, well, everybody's dumb now. We got to kind of go back. So they're literally going back to the way that it was prior to all of these A, B, C, and D crap, multiple choice tests. And now they're kind of like, how can we do that while making schools still accountable? If they want this money and stuff, then they're going to have to show their kids are learning. How are you going to do that? So it's like, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
So I haven't taught in a US university for over 10 years, so this is dated. But when I did, about 30 to 40% of the students had no business being in an institute of higher learning. That was my observation. And I went back to the UK and then started teaching at another university there. And this is a fee-paying, profit-making school. And it was the same thing. So in the Scottish environment, which I was privileged to be part of, anyone who could qualify to go to university could go, because the state considers that an investment in the culture.
That makes sense.
But it was very much more difficult to gain entry to an institute of higher learning, and there was no guarantee that you would qualify. The dropout rate in the courses I did was about 30%. But there was no profit motive involved because nobody was paying directly. But the schools that I was teaching in, the kids were paying around about £30,000, so about $50,000 for a degree course, and almost everyone passed.
Here's some numbers for you. Locally, at our local state university, it has a 70% dropout rate the first year, because the students will go start their first year and go, oh my God, this is hard. And then they have to drop out. There are now laws to where, because a lot of students will get government funding and they'll get student loans, they'll go, and if they don't come to class the first 2 weeks, they get administratively dropped because they don't want these students to get involved in a giant loan for a class that they're not going to take seriously. So it's
Some
like a
people
real
take
problem.
out the loans just with no intention of going to use them to go to school. Like Lucas Warner, he was busted taking loans that he, kept to spend on steaks and crap to try to get, Zoomers and whatnot.
It's
Yeah.
frustrating. And with my current job, I work with a lot of individuals who are coming out of the public school sector. Some are returning to college as adults and trying to help them be successful taking STEM classes is quite a challenge in itself. But the ones who stick it out and work hard, it's just they think it's just. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a class, I'll just sit there. Though it's a lot of work, particularly if you're coming out of a system where you haven't learned the basic fundamentals required just to take this class.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to university, I was the first in my family to do so. So it was brand new in terms of the cultural experience. But I treated it like a full-time job, and it was more than a full-time job, and it takes exactly as much commitment as a really challenging job for 4 years. And I'm not claiming that my success in that field was due to, raw intellect. It's not. It was due to getting up, going to school, working hard, doing the work. Yeah, people who aren't really committed to it really shouldn't be there.
No, it's a struggle, and I get that. I mean, I went back as an adult, completed my first degree in 2011. I hadn't had chemistry in well over 10 years. And so it's like going back in 2011 is hard. I'm like, well, it hadn't changed that much, but to sit there and have to go through all of that and take a full load every semester, not having that knowledge just readily available to where I'd have to dig in the recesses. It was a lot of freaking work. And people are like, well, you can't get C's. I'm like, if you get a C in a science class and you hadn't had chemistry in 10 years, that's a freaking win. So it's like you didn't fail, but and here I am several degrees later, because I'm like, wait, I can do this. It's a lot of work, but I got this and managed to be successful that way. People don't understand. It's a lot of freaking work, but you're investing in yourself, which is something they can't take from you,
My head was down from age 17 for about 8 years in undergraduate, postgraduate work, and then another 7 years as a postdoc. And in that whole time, I didn't make a great deal of money. In fact, I was making a bare living, but I didn't have any debts. And really think about what you're committed to doing before you put yourself in the hole for $50 to $100 or more $1,000.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my student loans. They started when I left high school. And so the interest compounded and just put into the capital. So what I owe now is nowhere near what I should be owing just from tuition.
When I'm president, there'll be no more student loans! Student loans account for 98% of the debt in this country!
Yeah. Here's a tip, America. Take some of the guns money, for the bang bang stuff and the fancy killing things, and invest in your commonwealth, the intellect and the education of your people. It works. You have to do it for a few hundred years, but it really fucking works.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. We had mentioned Betsy DeVos. I have the video where Bernie Sanders is questioning her.
Oh, I can do the voice a little more.
Yeah, you could do the voice a little more. And then I have a challenge for you guys if Betsy DeVos actually said these things or not. So let's pull up that video. Bernie Sanders questions Betsy DeVos. And if you don't know who she is, she's in charge of our education system right now, guys. This woman
She's also responsible for thousands of missing immigrant children.
Yes. With her adoption work, where she removes children from parents, illegal immigrants is what she says, immigrants, and then places them with families.
Those are the ones that we know where they're at, though.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few we don't know where they're at.
Just to be clear, I'm obviously living overseas. This is a thing, right? that children of people who arrive undocumented are taken away and farmed out
To
or
rich people.
otherwise.
Like the rich people adopt them. Basically, they get like first dibs on.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess being adopted by a rich person seems great, but then you realize you were taken from your parents and essentially sold to them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So involuntary adoption isn't the same as kidnapping, is it? It seems
No.
pretty much the same to me.
I think they got their legal bases covered. Although, who knows? Actually, they probably don't. So.
You also get government subsidies, and tax incentives to adopt children, and so it's like you get a little bit of money from the government when you take on a child that's not your own.
Cool.
I wonder why they're allowing them to stay in the country, because when those kids grow up, they're probably not going to vote for. Well, who knows what they're going to do? I don't even know.
Let's look at Betsy DeVos being dumb.
Do they charge more for the blonde-haired, blue-eyed ones?
Probably
that's a good
yes.
question.
Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mrs. DeVos. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for dropping into the office a few days ago.
Thank you, Senator.
Mrs. DeVos, there is a growing fear, I think, in this country that we are moving toward what some would call an oligarchic form of society, where a small number of very, very wealthy billionaires control, to a significant degree, our economic and political life. Would you be so kind as to tell us how much money your family has contributed to the Republican Party over the years?
Senator, first of all, thank you for that question. Again, was pleased to meet you in your office last week.
Yeah, get on with
I
it,
wish
Betty.
I could give you that number.
Seriously.
I don't know.
I have heard the number was $200 million. Does that sound in the ballpark?
Collectively, between
over the
my
years,
entire
yes.
family, that's possible.
Okay. My question is, I don't
Possible.
mean to be rude, but do you think if you were not a multi-billionaire, if your family has not made hundreds of millions of dollars of contributions to the Republican Party, that you would be sitting here today?
Senator, as a matter of fact, I do think that there would be that possibility. I've worked very
Well,
hard
that possibility,
on behalf of
yeah,
parents
careful
and-
answer.
I love how she's so sure of herself. Okay. Well, it's really nice that you think that that would be possible, and it's also really nice that you'll never have to find out since you are a billionaire. So
Oh God.
It's always possible. It's just very much more possible if you happen to have shelled out $200 million.
yeah, that does help things. That does increase the odds.
It greases the skids a little bit, right? Just about 200 million.
She
Also,
claims
if
to
you're
have been a
willing to break
teacher.
the law for Trump, that also helps you get that position.
Oh my
If
God.
you're rich enough, come on, the law doesn't apply. You know
That's
that.
true. That's true. We're in post-law America.
Alternative law. Actually, I saw a Harvard law professor, very venerable professor emeritus, laughing at the Mitch McConnell alternative law approach, or it may have been one of the other douchebags who says, well, abuse of power isn't an impeachable offense. Well, no, it really, really is.
I know. And it's the same guy who impeached Clinton for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress is now arguing that those are not offenses that need removal, or that, you know what I'm trying to say.
No, those are fine. It's totally fine to do those things because I say so. Yeah, we're just ignoring the past. That's all gone down the memory hole.
Oh, it is so funny watching these Republicans who were after Bill Clinton's head now, like, using not even the same arguments as Clinton, because all he did was get a beach. It's what Trump has done is just mind-blowingly illegal. No American has ever committed these kinds of crimes, ever. At least not that we know of. Maybe he's just so dumb that he got, spotted.
You know what? You can just imagine, on the grand scales of justice, we've got illicit sexual contact by the most powerful man in the world. Oh, because that never happens.
Powerful men don't get blowjobs in their offices. Are you kidding me?
And treason, which, Oh, cool. I had a friend of mine is very much a Trumpist for various reasons, and
Doesn't it
posted a
blow your
thing.
mind when you know someone you like and they like Trump?
She's like, "Oh, he's going to get reelected because all these good things, and here's a picture of him with a baby, and the baby's happy, so it's all good." I'm like,
The baby
so,
was 10 years older, he would have been, you know.
Oh,
and a
God.
girl, yeah. So the cute picture means that everything's good, and the collusion with a foreign government in the most inept way possible, recorded multiple phones, the whole business. Yeah, that never happened. Nope, that never happened.
And let's not forget, we all know he's Jeffrey Epstein's good buddy. Everyone knows it. How can you deny that they were close friends?
See, it makes me nuts because Mitch McConnell, I have a video. He played a role in '95 removing a guy who had they developed like a 10,000 page document. It weighed 40 pounds. They investigated him for sexual misconduct, and he kept a freaking diary. He kept a diary of all of the affairs that he had while he was in office. There was like 23 different women that he kept. And so Mitch McConnell in the 90s removed this dude. And he's like, I removed people from this sort of thing and all that. And back, I think in 2014, I have a video where he's talking about how he's this advocate for women. And he's already come out and said he is not an impartial jury member.
And then he signed the pledge that he would be an impartial juror.
It's just like, oh my God.
The Republicans at this point, they're like, we know that you know, but screw you, we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to keep lying about it, even though you know we're lying. Yeah. And they like that we know because it pisses us off, and now they're something about conservatives. They like to.
It's a big fuck you, isn't it? I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but this kind of legal malpractice. I mean, if you tried this in traffic court, it would be ridiculous.
They're trying it in traffic court, essentially. So hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, anything could happen. This Lev Parnas stuff that's coming out right now, it's crazy. Yeah. So they could actually flip some Republicans to vote to remove Trump.
Well,
it's crazy.
Yeah, you know that the tipping point is probably happening round about now, where people are beginning to bail because they know it's over.
I've thought that before.
I love Trump talking about Lev Parnas. It's like, who? What?
I know.
Don't know that guy.
And he's like, here's 4,000 pictures of me with your family throughout the years at your different events. Okay. I'm sure you don't know him, Donald.
It makes me crazy because the hypocrisy when you go back through, because we have all of this stuff recorded, because of technology, videos, all of this, it's everywhere. There's a tweet for everything. And then Mitch McConnell's like, well, I'm this advocate in this video that I have. He talks about how he's this advocate for women. I have a woman that's in charge of this, and I have all these women that work on my campaign, and I removed that dude in '95, and but here he is. He's completely fine with Trump and all the sexual allegation against him. In fact, he was best friends with a pedo. And it's just like that. We're just not going to pay attention to that.
Yeah,
they've shown their true faces.
Not just a pedo. Come on.
No, he's like the most notorious one of all time now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the grand high billionaire fucking Fagin guy, if the allegations are true, and they are.
And there's some other allegations that are true regarding Trump as well, but probably not the place to describe them since they're pretty vulgar.
Oh, God. It's just
Epstein and Trump have similar taste in women and even shared one or two. I'll just leave it at that.
His behavior with the Teen USA pageant, it's just disgusting. He would go in while they were all getting dressed and stuff. And like, well, I own this. I can do this if I want. Like, they're minors and you're gross. And the things he says about his daughter, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd date her. I'm like, I'm pretty certain he probably already has done things.
Exactly.
And maybe she's like put it back in her brain somewhere and pretended.
I don't know. I think she's like just as demented and depraved as him. I think that I was telling my friend the other day, I think the mutation was successful when it comes to Ivanka.
Well, I mean, look at the boys as well.
Yeah,
I mean, if you put them all together, they've got an average IQ, but they're absolute mouth breathers, but really fascisty as well.
And we're
Did you
supposed to
see
believe they have great DNA. Give me a freaking break.
Did you guys know that Trump let Michael Jackson watch his sons?
Yeah, I did.
He would come over and they just let him play together for hours on end.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
Why would
not
you
using
like?
good judgment there.
I bet they got to play with Corey Haim and Macaulay Culkin when they were over at Michael Jackson's house too. Doesn't he have a whole like theme park in the backyard? That must have been really exciting.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of the van with the candy written on the side, free candy.
Yeah.
It's just kind of except
And the
expensive
monkey.
version. Oh my God, I'm just.
I would have gone to Michael Jackson's house to meet the chimp and maybe liberate him, because you know
Just
that
take a weapon.
that poor creature was having a very, very rough time.
He saw a lot of things. That monkey killed itself. Did you know that?
PTSD. Yeah, it was very sad.
It fed itself to the lion. It jumped in the cage. Was like, eat me.
All right. How about we take a look at our commercial, our fake commercial? You guys might appreciate this. I recently went and saw the film Bombshell, based on Fox News and all of that. Actually was a really good film. I walked into that not certain, but I was like, this was pretty well done. So this is kind of like a little bit on that.
I have a commentary from Dutch culture in which I'm a guest about Fox News. It's generally known here as Der Strömer, which is the Nazi organization paper run by a guy whose name escapes me at the moment, but he was one of the most nutbaggy fascists to be hanged.
Oh God. Well, let's take a look at our commercial from our latest sponsor.
Hello, I am the digital representation of ScientistMel. I want to take a moment to thank all of my patrons on patreon.com/ScientistMel, as well as all of you who are giving through Super Chats and my help with GoFundMe for my computer. Thank you so much, as well as PayPal and any Streamlabs donations. I really appreciate your help. So guess what, guys? We have a special word from our newest sponsor. So let's check it out. Yay! Are you tired of factual news? Are you worried that your news network is giving you, quote, facts that might conflict with your personal views? Fear not. We are everyday postal news. We make fantastic, awesome, knowledgeable, exciting news that only works with your personal beliefs. Don't like climate change? We only report on the fringe studies that conflict with the general consensus. Don't like gay or trans people? We only discuss sex and gender as binary, ignoring any new research. Do you think the Earth is flat? We don't draw the line there. We tell round Earth people to suck some balls. So stop worrying about those news networks that conflict with your personal beliefs. Just stick with us. Everyday Postal News, your ultimate FAKE news network.
Hell yeah.
FAKE News Network.
I've been watching the sort of Fox version and then the MSNBC version of various stories, and Fox is like, everything's fine. We're awesome.
They ignore
We're
things.
awesome. It's all good except for those guys. Those guys, not so good. You should hate them. And NBC is like, the president is insane.
Yeah.
Every day.
And MSNBC is doing the job of like politicians by they had Lev Parnas on, like a journalist. Is not the person that needs to be interviewing that guy. He needs to be being interviewed by Congress and by the Senate about this stuff.
Yeah.
But
No,
that made me. I'm sorry.
It looks like actual journalism, which gives me a lot of faith in the regenerative powers of the media. So Young Turks do their thing, and I'm a regular watcher of that. But MSNBC is kind of mainstream, and they're saying very much the same stuff. This man is a danger to the world. He's insane and grotesque. And here's another lie that he told.
Yeah, there's thousands now. That's
God.
about. He's told as many lies as there are women he's groped. So a few thousand sounds right. That made me think of, Fox News is not actually a news broadcasting organization. It's filed as an entertainment company, which is why they are allowed to lie. And this actually went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said Fox News is allowed to lie because they're an entertainment company. So they don't even have to tell you the truth. They can blatantly lie to you about something. They're basically using the satire excuse, Doc.
Yeah. It's either
it's not really
propatainment, as in propaganda,
right?
Yeah.
Or satire itself. But when a culture begins to self-satirize and not notice, the whole thing becomes a giant Poe. And the Poe is basically, your emperor has no clothes. He is a fascist and a very, very dangerous man.
It's really interesting. I was trying to understand a bit better on how it is that Fox News can do that sort of thing. If you go and check out Dan Rather, he is an amazing resource when it comes to the history of U.S. news, because he was around at the time when TVs, started to become a thing, and how they had to go to Congress and report to Congress just to get like the 6 o'clock news hour, the nightly news, because they had to lobby for that time. They had to go in and say, okay, this time is when we're going to have impartial news to give the people, as part of freedom of the press. So they had to work with Congress to get that time slot chiseled out because they were running the airwaves. But since Fox News is a cable news network, they're not using the government regulated airwaves, so they can pretty much do as they want as long as they're entertainment and not news. But a lot of the general population doesn't understand, like your ABC News, your CBS News, the ones that are on the major networks that had to, abide by the impartial representation of news for that 6 or 7 o'clock hour. If they're not part of that, then they're not impartial and they're not required to be.
I didn't know that.
Again, as a student of history and a movie lover, I strongly recommend the movie Good Night and Good Luck, which is a discussion of what the press can actually do when it is accurate, intellectual, and suitably empowered. And it was basically the discussion of how J. Edgar Hoover was taken down. His lies, many of them were exposed on the 6 o'clock news.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really big deal. And it was, you're over, because honesty and integrity and a free
Washington
society.
Post too, with the Watergate stuff, man.
Absolutely. A free society is dependent upon a free and accurate press. So freedom of expression is great, but freedom to tell porky pies, a little bit questionable.
Have either of you ever heard of the One America News Network?
No.
Okay, so Fox News, this is a really interesting time in America because every once in a while, Fox News, they have to, when they show the major polls, they can't lie about a poll conducted by somebody else. I guess maybe they could, but either way, so they'll show that Trump is actually losing in these polls. Americans want him out, they want him impeached, and so Donald Trump runs his mouth and whines, this is unfair, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's a new news network, or maybe it's an old one. It's just a kook network of just, it's like Lisa Haven News Network.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump his supporters have been flocking to this to replace Fox News, which they now view as too liberal and fake news, because this organization just sucks Donald Trump's balls all the time. So it's like the new Fox News, it should be interesting.
I mean, again, as a function of of emergent fascism, when you have people afraid and you've convinced them of your narrative, they become dependent upon it and will go exactly to the agreeing narrative and ignore all of the others. In the same way as the TIs, Michael, will gravitate towards each other. This is
Right.
exactly the same thing. Especially if you're really scared. Oh, tell me something that makes me comfortable by identifying an external enemy. It validates the hardship of my life, and I can basically put up with anything as long as it's their fault.
Right.
There's, here's where you're getting a little bit of neuroscience. There's two sides of your brain. There's your side that's like your monkey lizard brain. There's like, oh my God, I've got to panic about things. And then you have your logical side. And so it's like, I hear a twig break in the woods, like, oh my God, I'm out in a tent. Is it a bear? Is it going to eat me? And then your logical side will be like, oh wait, no, it was only a slight little break. It's probably a squirrel. So if you allow one side to kind of go unchecked without going, hey, no, bring it down a bit. We're overreacting. If this scared side is allowed to kind of go for too long, that's that's where you get the conspiracy theorists. That's where you get all of these individuals that will go and seek other people that think like them, in order to get and then you get the tribal mentality. This is my group. So it's interesting to kind of see this play out.
Yeah, and we're kind of hardwired to it as we're social apes. But fashion is a benign or relatively benign representation of the same function. Fashion is essentially a tribal thing. Here is what is in this year. Everyone rushes out and tries to align with it. Well, why do you want to look like everyone else? So that you can be part of the in group and not the other group. Again, that's relatively benign.
And
but
see,
it's kind of process.
I see that a lot where I live. I live in the South, America, football, everything, Friday Night Lights, and so they have their teams. There are people who decorate their houses associated with a university football team. I can go on a jog and I'll pass like 3 different houses. And so it's like, if they're Republican, they'll be like, I always vote Republican. That's my team. And this mentality that they have to be part of a team. And this is their thing, and this is what they do. I used to vote Republican. I used to, and I voted Democrat too. And it's just, I understand living in this area. It's like the day that the election hit with 2016, almost all the people on my street had Trump signs, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's scary.
I freaked out.
It's like, is this really happening? Like, what the hell is going on?
It's like it wasn't there until election day, and then they all showed up, and I'm like, oh my God. And so it's inherently weird, particularly where I live, because I'm not that person, but everybody on my street is. So like, I better not ever say anything at the grocery store that's liberal, because I might get burning crosses in my yard. And just for the record, guys, the local town, they took the KKK off in 2005 as a local organization off of their website.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
The KKK is a recognized terrorist organization, right? The same. Are we talking about the same pointee?
Yeah, Ku Klux Klan was recognized as a local organization on the town website in 2005. It's not now, and we do have brown people that live here. I'm just saying. I'm scared.
Maybe they should. Maybe they should like. I don't know. I would reconsider living there. So.
It's funny.
If I was not white.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and I can't say things that often. So, oh boy, we had somebody pop out. Somebody left. Are we still live? It says a guest left. I think. Oh, Doc.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I think Doc he's back.
Yeah, there's some scary
guys.
towns. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was lagging there. I was just going to comment that in the UK, politics is a little bit more parochial, like everything. And there isn't the same division, wealthy people always voting for the Conservatives. It's just not set up in exactly the same way. The tribal thing seems to be somewhat less pronounced.
I was thinking, sorry. So there's some really scary places in America. If you're driving through, like in Montana or even in the middle of Texas, you can stop and like you can tell it's a Klan town. It's just like there's people look at you weird, or especially like never mind.
No, it's fine. I almost kind of want to take you guys on a trip through Mississippi some point in time. If you watch "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," it's not that different now. There's portions of Mississippi that still look like that. It's like, it's a weird thing to like watch some of these videos, the Lady Killers. The Coen brothers have amazing films, and I'm saying like I grew up with these people. It's like they are still here. It's like not gone away.
For me, it's like watching Train Spotting, because I grew up exactly there, but was never a junkie. Now, I'm confident that America has the ability to regenerate itself, because that's what you guys do so well. But really, guys, get over Trump. Get someone at least literate in office.
God.
Like President Obama, I don't necessarily agree with everything that he ever said or did, but at least he could think his way out of a paper bag.
Yeah. Oh, I just...
Clinton didn't agree with him, but Rhodes Scholar, extremely smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't elect a dumbass.
He got his degree from Wharton, and I looked into it. It's like his family donated a lot of money to Wharton, and his degree is in real estate. Trump.
Here's the thing. If you happen to be the offspring of the royal family in Britain, you will get a first-class honours degree from whichever school you go to. And I'm sure they have the benefit of a lot of tuition and anything that they need, but I'm also pretty sure that they get a first-class honours degree because privilege.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, and now if you watch the Ricky Gervais Golden Globe monologue, he touches on that with a little bit, where a lot of the celebrities had tried to pay their kids' way into the Ivy League schools, and they got caught. And so these Ivy League schools are now being fined, and these parents that are celebrities are serving time in prison now, trying to buy their kids' way into in a high-end school.
Yeah, and it's always happened. Let's not make a joke about it. Because universities are expensive and they do need money, and not all people are completely honest or scrupulous. But it's really, really obvious right now.
It is. So, speaking of education, are you guys up for a challenge?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Betsy DeVos. So this is Roswell will deliver our challenge for us. Did Betsy DeVos say the thing or not? So that's your challenge. All right.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Roswell, and I'm here to deliver a challenge for you, Doc Savage, and you, Omni Eris. How are you today, Doc?
Dazzling.
Fantastic. And hello, Omni. How are you today?
My heart is filled with darkness and misery.
Awesome. All right, so today we are going to have a challenge on Betsy DeVos.
All right. Again, in the chat, play along and I'll give you points. Our recent recipient of a swag bag got her stuff and she made an unboxing, guys. She made an unboxing video. So hopefully that'll come out soon with her stuff and things.
Good.
Cool.
All right.
Betsy DeVos is the Secretary of Education, and there's lots of reasons why she shouldn't be, some of which are the things that she says. So, your challenge is this. You have to guess on whether or not this is a Betsy DeVos quote. Is it DeVos or DeVos? It really doesn't matter. I don't care about her. She's not that great. Anyway, let's get started.
Bring it on.
Let's do it.
Betsy DeVos is an advocate for guns in schools. So, when asked about it, she essentially said locales and states should be able to decide whether or not guns are allowed on campuses. She gave a particular scenario where there might be a Wyoming school who may need firearm protection in order to protect them from grizzlies, potential grizzlies. You know, because all those grizzly attacks are what killing our children. Did she actually say this, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, she totally did. She absolutely did, and it's asinine.
That's ridiculous.
I spent some time in the Arctic where they have these big white bears that are quite like grizzlies. And I asked the guy, you know, should I carry a sidearm here? And he's like, dude, if you have a sidearm and you shoot a polar bear, you're just going to piss it off.
Right.
Unless you're really, really, really lucky, you're just going to be eaten faster.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think, Omni?
I think, I for sure think she said it.
All right. What's the reveal, Roswell?
This is an actual thing that she said. Can you believe that? All the potential grizzlies, they're lined up. They're ready to go in and take all of those picnic baskets, aren't they? Do they have a boo-boo along with them? Is boo-boo going to be the voice of reason? Maybe we need boo-boo to be there at every school instead of guns. What do you think? Oh my God. All right, let's move on to the next challenge.
Yeah. Can I chime in a little bit? Jim Jeffries said a thing which I really quite like. It's like, whenever there's a mass shooting, and they're happening all the time in the US, the answer is always more guns.
I know.
Like, arm the children, arm all of the toddlers. Problem solved, right?
I was just thinking, like, okay, so she probably said the Grizzlies thing because first she was like, well, we need the guns there to help prevent mass shootings. And then her brain was like, well, if we banned guns, or at least cut back on guns, then the amount of mass shootings would go down, because this was never a regular problem. I can't mention that. We need them to fight off the grizzlies. So there was a similar thing where somebody was arguing against an assault rifle ban, and he said, well, 40 to 50 feral hogs run through my yard every day. What am I supposed to do when my kids are out there playing? I need a semi-automatic to kill those hogs. I'm like, you got more problems than hogs, man.
Yeah, or landmines. Landmines are very effective against hogs.
Yeah, it'll teach them. They'll remember not to come back through there.
Yeah, you leave a head out as a warning for the others, and they
actually
get
pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that one of the drills? And I've having taught, I've been I've had to go through the different types of drills associated with active shooters, and they have them at colleges now, universities, as well as high schools, middle schools, primary. There was one district to where they had a bucket of rocks next to the door. So the bucket of rocks was going to be for the kids to throw at active shooters.
Yeah, that's really, really a bad idea. Well, here in the civilized world, we don't do those things. We don't have drills.
You don't hear about those over there.
No, we don't have those. I asked my sister, she's been a primary school teacher for 20 years, and they never do that. They tell children not to talk to strangers or get into cars, and they drill them about those things. Not when someone comes to murder us all, this is what you have. What does that do to a child?
I know.
You could die at any moment.
They almost sadistically perform these drills in some of these schools. Like, I've read news stories where they like have people pretend that they're shot and dead, and
rubber.
Like,
bullets.
Yeah, it's just completely crazy. And they don't even tell the teachers what's going on. So the teachers are freaking out, thinking there's really someone in the school. I think there was one where they played audio of a gun firing, so that people thought it was really going on. That is a life-changing moment for a child. Like, that will scar someone for life. That's why we're creating tomorrow's serial killers with these freaking drills.
It's insane.
There was one drill, I think it was Oregon, and I'm not certain, so don't quote me, but there was one drill of that type that was a simulation, and it came very close to a homicide because a teacher was in fact armed and drew down. And
Yeah, what if that could cause someone to actually pull out their gun and start popping?
Yeah, there was another district where they used rubber bullets on teachers and shot them execution style, and then they had to go to the hospital. Yes, look that up.
How is that not $1 million lawsuit?
They had the teachers line up with their hands behind their heads, and they shot them in the back of the head with rubber bullets.
That is so sadistic. And how did the person who decided to do that, like, he's pulling the trigger, he knows they all think they're dying. Like, what the hell is going on in these people's minds when they think that this is a good idea?
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. And anyone who wants to do that, they're going to try it with the wrong person and end up dead.
We've
Because
seen
you put people in fear of their life, and they're willing to take risks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I worked at a school, and there was a particular person, and he was like, if they let me carry here, then we wouldn't have any active shooters. They come to my classroom, and I'm just like, you would crap your pants.
Yeah,
they would knock
seriously.
you out, and they
He'd
would
shoot the
take your
kids.
gun. They'd take your gun. But this is also coming from a man I had to report to an administrator because he was talking about the crime going on in the inner city, and that if they just let him go down there, he could just handle handle the crime himself. And he was talking about people of color, and I'm like, I can never talk to you again in the hallway because this is not what I teach in my classroom, and I'm not about to be associated with you. I had to go make a complaint on that person because I'm like, you're sitting here saying you would shoot black people and solve the crime problem associated with inner city if they let you. You would commit murder. This is the same guy who wants to carry a gun to school to save us all from an active shooter. I'm like, yeah, no, you'd probably just shoot all the black kids. That's probably what you would do. That's probably, and they were the ones that had money. The black kids at our school were the ones that had money. The white kids were the broke farmer kids. And it's just like, I'm like, I can't even. So,
As a general rule of thumb, adding a lethal weapon to paranoid delusions or vigilante fantasies isn't a good idea, just because it makes it a hell of a lot easier, faster, and actually cheaper to murder people. Stick with using your hands if you want to be an asshole. You're going to do damage, but mostly you're not going to kill anybody. Add a Glock 9 in there, nothing gets better. And anyone who can talk about pointing a gun at people has probably never done it and probably never should, because when you do that, that's a really serious thing in my book.
And then if you fantasize about it and you're like, well, if everybody always has in their head, well, if this happened to me, and being a woman that's been assaulted and had to deal with stuff, you always go through the different things in your head. Well, I'm going to go to the gas station. It's in a dark part of town, as far as like it's night outside, it's in a shady part of town. I got to worry about that. Oh my gosh, there's a car with dudes around. What would I do in that situation? It never goes the way that you try to plan it in your head. And the planning in your head is really just to help you cope with the different fears that you have associated with the thing.
Right. It's so they feel secure. So like what this guy probably feels scared around black people, which is why he carries the gun. And that influences his teaching as well as the way that he treats his students. So he's got black students. Meanwhile, in his mind, he's got these fantasies of ending all crime by going and shooting black people. And he's like, people like that, like, it's not surprising to hear that, because that's like kind of the rule almost for anybody who goes talking about their same people who have guns, don't go flashing them out in public. They don't brandish them all the time. They don't pop in their videos with them. They put them away, hoping that they never have to use them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
In Virginia, again, maybe 15 to 20 years ago now, so it may be different, and I had a lovely time there. But as a young academic, and obviously white, I was warned that I was drinking in the wrong bar, because there was a bar on the way home, and I'd go in there and have a beer, and Yeah, there was me, and I was the white guy. And I was the white collar guy, and everyone else was African American and blue collar, or very much that way. I had a great time. I didn't feel threatened in the slightest bit because I was just a regular guy. There was no kind of issue, and being foreign kind of helped make it a little bit easier. But one of my professor colleagues offered me a weapon just in case. Slid it across. It's like I'm not allowed to carry a weapon in this country, but here it is anyway, just in case. And I said to him, quite honestly, thank you for your concern, but the minute I feel like I have to carry a sidearm in the place that I live, I no longer live there.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was afraid of the image that he had in his mind, not the reality of my experience, which was extremely positive. Hey, guys, one of us isn't the same. I'm the racial minority here. Thanks, I'll have a beer. No problem. There you go.
It's weird that people just kind of generate all of these different things in their head based on what they've been told. And that's like when I say, "Oh brother, where art thou?" That film,
Yeah.
it's passed on. That's knowledge. Well, not even knowledge. It's perceptions that are passed on to subsequent generations. That's
how you still have the Ku Klux Klan in 2020. Like, that's something that should have gone away a long time ago.
And the American Nazi Party, which is still a thing.
Yeah, isn't it? I could see the American Nazi Party having a resurgence here in the near future, if it's not already.
It kind of is.
Yeah, I figured.
all right. Next, you guys ready for the next challenge? There's
Yes.
only 4. I think there's only 4.
Betsy's a big fan of getting government vouchers to pay for private schools. And one particular thing as she discussed was HBCUs. And this is what she said. They are real pioneers when it comes to school choice. They are living proof that more options are provided to students. They are afforded greater access and greater quality. HBCUs were actually made because of Jim Crow laws. Anyway, did she say this?
All right. For those of you in the chat, if you're not familiar with HBCUs, those are colleges that are exclusively African American schools. They were a result of Jim Crow laws as well as racial or racist policies that kept Black people, African Americans, from joining university. So they were out of necessity, not because of choice.
So could you sum up what exactly she said? Because I feel like I didn't absorb it because I was a little distracted.
It's okay. So Betsy DeVos, according with what Roswell is saying over here, she says that HBCUs were pioneers in choice, and that, that they're around because of the fact that this was something. So it's an argument for her. We should give people a choice to go to private schools or public schools through government vouchers. Look at HBCUs. They do great. They have good quality education. It's a wonderful bit of stuff. They're pioneers of choice. So we should follow what they do and let people choose between private schools and public schools with government funding.
And the internal irony is pioneers of choice provided you choose to go to a segregated learning environment.
So she was using something essentially that was coming out of necessity. There was no place for Black people to go to school. The Civil Rights Museum gets into great detail about Ole Miss, which is the University of Mississippi, which is an Ivy League school in the South, not allowing Black people for an extremely long time. And they had to go to court over it. So HBCUs came out from Jim Crow laws and stuff. So did Betsy DeVos.
So pioneers of choice, you can either have nothing or apartheid. So there you go.
So did that clear it up?
Yeah, this whole topic is a little over my head, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, she said it. She said that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So did she use HBCUs as proof of how choice is important? Let's see the reveal.
This is a real thing that she said. If you're not familiar with HBCUs, they were generated because African Americans were barred from enrolling and participating in university education. Jim Crow laws also prevented African Americans being involved in university education as well. So they were not born out of mere choice, but out of necessity in the face of racism, and particularly in aftermath of the Civil War.
Yep, there you go. We were right. By the way, America, if you go back far enough, you're all African Americans.
True enough. Well, we're Africans anyway, if you go back far enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
It's interesting, those people that do the there's a video that went out for a while where these white nationalists had their DNA tested and found out they had, similar DNA to African
Oh,
American
that's
people.
hilarious.
It was,
One of them got kicked out of his community, right? He was like the leader of this little racist hillbilly incest village that he made. It was like a commune.
Silent Hill.
Yeah, it was Silent Hill. And they were like, you're like 0.7% African American, except, they didn't use that term. And then they kicked him right the hell out. And it's like, you guys realize you probably all are too, right? Like, it's probably higher in most of you.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
goodness.
I love dumb
Is
fascists.
that on Steve Wilkos or Jerry Springer?
I mean, there's a scary thing that I'm noticing at the moment, and it really alarms me. And that seems to be the association between Christians and fascists. Is it just me, or are these two groups, the extremes, coalescing? Not talking about regular Jesus believing, nice folk.
Christianity has always been fake. It's always been a bullcrap that people have put forward who secretly wanted fascism the whole time. So we're just seeing Christianity unmasked. That's all.
I think within the power system of the religion, I agree. I think within the practice of it, at least what I've seen, only the nut bars go the extra step towards the fascism. But when people start dressing up their hatred in Jesus, Mel, as a former believer, how do you respond to that?
I still have a lot of family and friends that are heavy involved in religion, and they, my brother and sister are very religious, and they have a lot of working issues. I have friends that work in cancer research out at NIH, heavy believers. They have issues with the extremism just as much as any other rational person. And so it's like, we're able to sit and have a discussion on, this is not okay and this isn't normal. And they're like, people are using something that they see as particularly close to them. They consider their faith very intimate with them as a means to perpetuate oppression and awfulness and hate. And it's just, it sickens them, and it sickens me. So I'm fortunate to where I can talk with people in my life about the awfulness without them feeling personally attacked. But the people who use that to hurt others, I don't know that you can have a good conversation with them that would be productive.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And a dear friend and my academic mentor is a Baptist preacher and scientist, and brilliant scientist, for 40 years now. And he's horrified that, as he says, the teachings of the Prince of Peace are used to foment hatred and discrimination. He's completely disgusted by it and confused by it, because in his tradition, it's completely alien,
And Jesus was very much an activist. I love table flipping Jesus, man. He is my favorite Jesus, where he goes in the church and he's so mad at people. He's like, you have turned this house of worship into like a den of thieves. And he starts flipping tables. I'm like, he's just one shirt ripping away from being Chris Brown, going to throw chairs out the synagogue window. And you're like, I love table flipping angry Jesus, who's an activist for the fringes. You know, that's what he was.
That's a beautiful allegory, and I agree with it entirely. Incidentally, Kent Hovind has specifically banned the biblical verse saying, "Thou shalt not make thy father's house a house of merchandise." I know this because I've spammed this channel from 14 different accounts, and it's gone. He has taken that out because he's shilling for Jesus big time.
Oh my goodness. You know, I haven't called Kent Hovind in a while. I should do that sometime again.
Oh, don't do it. He'll poison your mind.
I don't think it's out of sheer morbid fascination, but I've only called him when we've been on a live stream.
I'm going to do a point-by-point deconstruction of his abuse of microbiology and molecular biology because it's really embarrassing. He essentially speaks for 40 minutes and gets nothing right.
Oh,
nothing.
Wow. Oh, we got to finish our challenge, guys. All right. Next DeVos quote. Is it or is it not? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I'm drinking.
Here's your next challenge. Betsy is particularly hard on her critics. She once compared those who oppose her choice options when it comes to private schools to flat earthers. She called her critics flat earthers. She said that they need to come out of the Stone Age and allow people to be able to make choices on private or public schools. Flat earthers. Well, did she actually make this comparison?
I think she did.
I think she probably did. Yep.
And if she did, it's funny because probably most of her supporters are flat earthers. So,
and my deal on this whole school thing is have your private school. Just don't use public money to fund it.
Right. And stop trying to, what you just said.
Okay. Well, what's the reveal?
This is an actual thing that she said. So she does actually compare her critics to flat earthers. This coming from a woman who wants private schools in order to get money, in the form of vouchers for other people to, participate in that education. But the thing is, these private schools are not required by law to abide by any federal law associated with education, including meeting the needs of disabled kids. So there you go.
Yeah.
Are we sure Betsy isn't a flat earther herself?
No,
because it would make a lot of sense.
It really would. Because the flat earthers of all of the dummies, they're the bottom level. They really
They're pretty dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, we've met some dumb ones, though, so I don't know. It would be... I guess they probably are the dumbest. Well, concave is pretty stupid, too, right?
Concave is beyond that.
Yeah.
That's a special category, and there are only 3. So...
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, so she compares her critics to flat earthers because, oh, my God. All right. Last challenge. And then we got stupid things if y'all are keen.
Sure.
Here is your last challenge. Betsy DeVos likes to visit schools and, she finds that there's lots of people that will stand outside and protest her visit. Well, on one particular visit, she compared a primary school to a dangerous daycare. She said essentially, the teachers weren't doing their jobs. It was a bunch of teachers who were waiting to be told what to do and, oh, God. So, is this a thing? Did she do this?
Yes.
She compared a primary school to a dangerous daycare.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes because it just seems so random that I would imagine she did.
Yeah, I don't know what a dangerous daycare is, but I know that this woman is not the smartest. So, yeah, she said.
Okay, what's the reveal?
she didn't actually refer to a primary school as a dangerous daycare. She said this of a high school, of it being an adult dangerous daycare. And she is known to actively criticize middle school teachers who manage to bring their students from 2nd grade reading level to 8th grade reading level, saying that they weren't very proactive in teaching and doing a good job. They were waiting to be given orders. God, the nerve of her.
Yeah. It's almost like this woman has no clue about what she is trying to legislate.
I think she's belittling them to make an excuse for why teachers get paid almost nothing in this country.
Yeah, man. Look after your teachers. They are husbanding the intellectual development of your culture. They're really, really important, much more so than vicars and ministers and priests and imams and rabbis and whatnot.
Oh gosh, it's funny. Having been a teacher, I make more money now than when I did as a teacher. But for public school systems and being in academia now, it's like I'm like, okay, so I need to get me some sticky note pads and stuff. And they're like, oh, that's in the office over there. Just go get you some. And I'm like, you have office supplies here?
You don't have to buy your own.
I don't have to get my own. I'm like, I have my leftover printer from when I was teaching because I didn't want to have to go and stand in line to print out a thing off a USB drive in a room that caters to 60 teachers. I'm like, I just bought my own $200 laser printer. So I carried that over no, we'll just hook it up over here. There's only 5 people who use this. And I'm like, well, I'm in heaven now.
Yeah.
And here in the world of big pharma, I have a private secretary and whatnot and minions, and I know it's very different from the school environment, but schools are real important. Go to school, pay attention.
It's really no wonder people are getting stupider over here because, education has been completely handicapped. I don't know what it was like 30 years ago, but it just... Anyway, I'm going to just go on. My point's made.
It's fine. Roswell has a final message, and then we can move on to stupid things, talking about vagina-smelling candles.
Okay.
You guys did a fantastic job. Doc, it's been absolutely amazing working with you on Oraldacity. I hope you have a fantastic day and hope to see you soon. Omni, always a pleasure. So glad to see you again. Please do check out Omni's stuff on his channel. He's hilarious and amazing, and from time to time you might see a wild dog savage there. Do check it out. Like, share, and subscribe immediately. Bye!
Thank you, Roswell. Do it. No.
Right. So the link to Omni Eris's channel is in the description. So is Doc Savage's. If you want to click on there, subscribe, see what he's up to.
Yeah, there may be some exciting new developments on the Doc Savage channel because I've not posted anything for about 2 years.
You've been up to your eyeballs and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I've been curing cancer. Come on, give me a break, man.
Gosh, how dare you try to better society, Doc? I just, in saving lives, what, God, you shill.
He is a shill. So am I.
Yeah.
So are you.
I'm a shill. I'm a NASA shill. I was called a
NASA
Monsanto
shill. Those are the worst kinds.
No, they are.
They're in league with the space Jews.
See, here's the thing. There was a science journalist who accused me of being a Monsanto shill because I was perpetuating accurate information associated with glyphosate. But hey, whatever.
People who use the word shill usually use it a lot. So, they're calling everybody shills.
Anyone who disagrees with me is a troll.
Right. I love that argument.
That's one of my favorites, and particularly when people who get angry with me or say, that the entitlement that certain individuals have, like, you didn't talk to me or answer my question enough, and I'm going to just keep it, and they follow me from different platforms. Well, right. I didn't, and I'm just like, I didn't talk to you over here. I didn't talk to you over here. I'm not going to talk to you over here, and now you're just being creepy. It's
Yeah.
like, you're not a real scientist. You don't know real science because you didn't answer my questions the way that I like. I'm like, well, I'm not required to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel, you're a TI. These people are gang stalking you.
It's true.
You're on remote.
Probably on the remote. Yeah, the
You know,
RNM.
I might be. I need to learn more about gang stalking. This might be.
No,
a
you
thing.
probably don't.
No, don't go there. It's a very dark place.
It's a rabbit hole, and Doc and I still haven't escaped. We can't stop keeping up with these TIs.
It's a very dark place called paranoid schizophrenia and methamphetamine abuse, to be perfectly frank with you.
That's about 95% of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
The other 5% are school shooters, I believe.
Yes,
so,
they are.
Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. So for one more time, we've got the Oraldacity. Let's play the Oraldacity.
Yeah.
Because we got it.
You. Sorry, G-Man.
My name is G-Man. You got the Oraldacity. You're going to jail. You got the Oraldacity. My name is G-Man. You got the Oraldacity. That's all I got to say. You got the Oraldacity. I stole $3,000. You got the Oraldacity. Oraldacity. You got the Oraldacity. Because you don't got no evidence. My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man.
Oh, poor G-Man. Eating boneheads of YouTube.
He's a sweet, precious little child, Doc.
No, he isn't. He's a vengeful, malicious, duplicitous little turd.
Listen.
And he knows it.
Don't be so mean to G-Man. He's having a really hard time fighting off all those gay thoughts, so he doesn't have the energy to be a good person. So
that makes it that's a very good rationalization, right?
Thank you for
he's
that.
a victim.
It's
We should
actually
be
the
kind.
gays' fault.
It's the what?
It's the gays' fault. Blame the
It
gays.
is. They made him gay, so fuck them. I mean, sorry.
You can say the F word. I've had Hannibal and Monty, and by the way, they're the ones who made that amazing edit. Watch their space, guys. They're gonna start doing more collabs with me, and I might voice little animojis that they have from time to time that pop up.
Yeah. Hannibal and Monty. You got to check out the channel because those guys are hilarious. They're way better than DP. Way better than DP. Don't go on that show anymore, guys, because they
Little 5H1T might be me, guys.
Yeah. Also, G-Man thinks that song is a tribute, and it's 10,000 times better than his atheists-owned raps, any of them. So it's not a tribute, G-Man.
I tried to watch his channel, and he just kept going on about the Hebrew Israelites, and I'm like, dude, you have been beating this drum, God, for years. I mean, at least like switch it up. Like Hebrew Israelites, atheists. Can you add something? Like maybe like furries. Take up a hatred of furries. Throw them in the mix. Mix it up, G-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, G-Man got mad at Monty because Monty said he couldn't rap.
Well, he can't.
He can't. And it's because he can't read fast enough to get into the rhythm, you know?
Oh my gosh. So, guys, you think the vagina scented candle by Gwyneth Paltrow is a brand new thing? There was somebody, I found a video from a guy. It's like pussy scented candle. There's a video from a guy who was like, this should be marketing for dudes. So let's have a look at that. And let me see what you...
Hold on. I wouldn't want a cock and ball scented candle. So why are there people who want vagina scented candle? I don't want an ass scented candle because, I am a sodomite. So that does happen from time to time.
Ass.
Yeah. Smells like ass in this room.
You could crank it up because the Americans love, adding new stuff. So it could be ass and mint or ass and rosemary. That might work.
Our candle sold out within 2 days, guys. Within 2 days, people bought that candle. It's sold out. Let's have a look at this dude's take from like, I think it's like 5 years ago. This guy came out with this video about like, why don't we have candles like this? So let's have a look.
Was almost the vice president with Marianne Williamson. So.
So let's look at that under stupid things. The kitty scented candle. Nope, not that one. It's another one. That's a response video to Gwyneth Paltrow's candle.
It's G-Man's dad.
It might be.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of October.
Okay, your day.
A straight man's guide to fall. What's your favorite fall tradition? I know mine. It's candles. I love the sense of I love having candles lit. It just makes me feel warm and cozy. There are thousands of scents in the store, but only 4 marketed to straight men: mahogany, leather, tobacco, and whiskey. Because every
is he really trying to tell us he's
Ron Swanson?
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, I don't need candles that smell like mahogany, leather, tobacco, and whiskey because I smell.
It makes me more manly, Doc.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah, I mean, I exude those very scents.
Oh my gosh. Let's keep going.
That man is as gay as the hills.
The hills are gay?
The hills are gay.
The hills
They're alive with the sound of music.
I think I enjoy those scents even less than I enjoy being told which scents I should enjoy by a candle.
But if I'm gonna make my own candle for a straight man, which scent should it be? What is the one scent that every straight man universally enjoys? And then it
Image
hit
is
me.
frozen for me.
It's frozen for me too.
There we go.
No, that's really inappropriate.
What is
Oh,
what scent does
I've
every
seen
straight man
enough of this horror
enjoy?
show.
So he's telling us he wants a pussy scented candle because he's straight?
Yes.
It's like, look at me, everyone. I'm straight, and I'm so straight. I want a pussy scented candle. I promise I'm straight, Mom. I swear. Because that's who he's pretending to be straight for. Doesn't want to break his
I'm going
mom's
to
heart.
chime in as I'm probably the most straight here. That never happens. Straight men never sit around the table and go, you know what I really miss in my life? A candle that smells like vaginas. That has never happened.
Hey, bro, you gotta smell my candle, man.
Yeah. No. No.
I want to meet the people who are burning her candles like with company over. Like, oh, what's that smell? That's a tuna can and a candle in the center of it. So
with a little bit of lemongrass and patchouli, because we shoved that up our lady butts. No, don't do that, guys.
This one has yeasty aftertones.
This one's got the stank yeast.
Is that the shanny yeast? I wonder
Yes,
if
it
she
is.
has her own. Guys, so a friend of mine on Twitter a couple years ago, she actually used her vaginal yeast to make bread, and it made like
I heard
worldwide
about
news.
that.
Yeah,
That's my friend Zoe, guys. She works at the
Did
Vagina
she sell the
Museum.
formula?
She did it, but she posted on her blog, and it's just people are like, "This is so gross." I'm like, it doesn't really freaking matter. It's freaking yeast. But I wonder,
I would
could
need it.
Shani make bread with her body yeast and sell it? Do you think?
No,
Listen, I'm
Shani,
telling you.
Shani doesn't cook. Shani's cooking program is a drive-through.
You know how Shani will never go hungry because if she lifts up with her bad arm, of course we all know she's got a bad arm over here, but if she lifts up one of her tits, like, bread loaves just start falling out. So it's like that's how she gained so much weight to begin with.
She found half a chicken in there just the other day. It was really gross, and she just nommed down the whole thing.
It was still partially alive too. It was like, kill me.
Kill me now.
Yeah.
Parent of the year.
So speaking of yeast, we have a reaction video of somebody who was talking about Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina scented candle and their thoughts as being a straight man. I think this guy's a straight man because he has kids in the background. Either that or maybe he's a gay uncle
That didn't stop Eminem.
Yeah.
Hey, let's have a look at that reaction video of this person.
So apparently Gwyneth Paltrow created a candle that smells like the vajayjay, the vagina. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure if I want to walk into a house that smells like vajayjay. Honestly, I don't think it's the most pleasant or desirable smell. The only time it's desirable is when your testosterone is on a high, on a 100. Then yeah, you may want to smell some vajayjay for to get the arousal and the mood right and heighten everything. But who is the candle for? You can't just give everyone a vagina smelling candle. If my wife comes home, do I want the house smelling like vajayjay? Probably not. And they also say that, well, women's hormone, I think they say, or their sexual tension and excitement jumps when they hit their 40s, whereas for the men, it decreases. I believe that's the case. So if the wife wants some and the husband just doesn't seem to be in the mood, she can just, light the candle around the home. Hopefully once the husband comes home, he smells the scent and it starts to, raise his arousal level. It starts to make his pants three-dimensional. But yeah, so
I'm horrified at the thought of a house that smells like vagina.
Yeah, me too. I'm wondering whose vagina. Like your mum?
Gwyneth Paltrow's.
Well, fair enough.
My
Angelina Jolie's. I'd probably buy that.
I wouldn't.
No. But if it smelled like ass.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't even buy the ass scented candle. In fact, I'm grossed out by that too.
Would you buy a candle that smelled like Brad Pitt's cock?
I was about to say. Yeah.
I would buy that too, actually. I'd have them fighting each other from across the room.
It smells really weird in this house.
Oh my god, who's fucking?
I'm not a fan of Brad Pitt at all in any capacity. Uh-oh.
I'm still here. The camera froze, so I turned it off and turned it back on.
If we say Brad Pitt one more time, it's over for all of us.
Yeah. It's like the Candyman. Yeah.
That's it.
Can't say it again. I know there's a little bit of thing associated with scent and arousal and that sort of thing, but it's just I can't imagine having scented candles of Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina all over your house is going to warrant some kind of sexy times,
Just throw some fish in the corner and just let them rot. It's cheaper. So
ladies, if your stuff smells like fish, you probably need to go to the doctor. I'm just saying, because I
don't make candles, Gwyneth. Go to the doctor, okay?
No, just because it just there's diet is important on how you smell and taste.
It really is.
So diet's kind of important. What you eat, if you're smelling like fish or something, go to the doctor.
Yeah, you probably have trichomoniasis, and that's a treatable thing. So
yeah, Tila. Okay.
Oh God.
The powder's not cutting it, Tila.
I won't even talk about what I think mine smells like because that's weird.
Yeah, let's not.
Can we move away from genital odor?
We can. We can. So I have a tweet that was sent to me. So let's kind of pull that up about microchips. It's an image tweet where you can, so joint investigation says, make this go viral. Most of us in America, Europe, and Australia have been implanted non-consensually with microchips, which one can find with a bug detector and with eye implants that one can see under UV light. Your pupils light up green if you're implanted, guys.
Eye implants. So like when you're asleep, they sneak in and perform an eye surgery on you and you just never even have any residual pain the next day?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. UV light and eyes, don't look into it. That's a really, really, really bad idea.
Well, we want people to believe in microchips to do it, though, because they deserve it.
Oh,
By the
God.
way, you idiots, we don't put nanotech or microchips or anything like that in any of the vaccines. Sorry, that's made up.
Yeah. You take that.
They do have a flashlight, and the link that they have in that tweet sends you to Amazon.com. So let's take a look at that. It's for $16.59. Let's pull that up.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
There's a funny comment in the chat from Lusty that says Tila uses rose-scented powder from the dollar store. And something about that. First, it rings true, but second, it really adds like a new level of horror to that whole situation. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to reflect on that for a minute. So.
And our assets, Michael, trace every product and every location, and that's absolutely correct. So it's the Dollarama at the Galleria. And we know Lucas.
Rose-scented powder on an unwashed for JJ.
Oh, God.
It's got to be delightful. Anyway.
No.
Tila's vagina candle is like a biological
It smells
weapon.
like dog shit and rose powder.
All right. So if you guys want to test if you have... If you guys want to test if you have microchips in your eyeballs.
All right. Let's do it.
I gotta get it out! I gotta get it out!
You can get UV flashlight with batteries. It's a 2-pack. So we saw that picture. 2-in-1 UV light, black light flashlight, and white light tactical flashlight, mini ultraviolet, urine detector for cats, pet stains, bed bugs.
Yeah.
For cats? So
This is
cats
the-
have microchips
have-
in their pee?
Cats have slightly fluorescent urine as a function of their renal setup. But you can also use this to find spunk because it's
Stay out of
the
my
CSI
apartment with that
spunk light. That's what we're talking about here.
Yes. So if you were to, go onto a particular set of a type of film and flash black lights along the faces of certain individuals, you might be able to detect things.
You mean like microchips?
Boys Halfway House.com.
Are you talking about Mario? Oh, how did Mario work his way into this conversation? He's always around that.
We were talking about semen, and those two go together like.
It's true.
Yeah.
The microchip thing is funny because people will think they have them in random parts of their body and they will go digging. Like they will start trying to get the chip out. And I don't know what when it's not there, like they're still crazy after. So how does that work?
No, they find them. They go digging and then they find them and then they apply some weird holistic irritant and go, oh my God, I've got ulcers all over my back where I scratched big holes in my flesh.
Yeah.
It must be the nanotech.
Someone told me when I use, it was one of those Kevin Christian fans said when I use this, I'm inhaling nanotech from the Illuminati into my body. So, good.
Fair enough.
Just kidding. Of course, it doesn't exist.
I have a video of people. It's like how to appropriately say "hold my beer." So, if English is a second language, I found a video of a person who tries to teach you how to appropriately say "hold my beer." Okay. Because that's where I feel like America is right now.
Okay.
Let's have a look and learn how to say "hold my beer," guys, from this educator for English as a second language. Maybe we can learn something.
Hey guys, have you ever heard anyone say the phrase "hold my beer"? This is a really useful little phrase that will make you sound.
She's wearing a green shirt.
Speaker.
Totally don't green screen that, guys.
And we write "hold my beer" for 2 reasons. The first is we are about to do something stupid.
He's a legit educator.
Actually,
idea
that
is
looks really fun.
the expression comes from
done that
two
a whole
people
bunch
being
of
in a party,
times,
and one
actually.
of them saying, hey, watch this, hold my beer, while I do something completely stupid. We now use this in conversation to indicate that I am about to say or do something stupid. The second use is if I am about to tell somebody something that is even worse or stupider than something they just said. For example, if a friend tells me something bad or dumb that they saw, I can say, wait, hold my beer, and then tell them something even stupider or even worse. This came up a lot when Brexit happened in the United Kingdom. There were a lot of jokes between the US and the UK saying, hey guys, hold my beer, referring to dumb and difficult political situations in both places.
Oh, God.
There you have
Okay.
it. If you want to announce something stupid that is about to happen, or compare something stupid to something even worse, you can say, hey, hold my beer, and then say it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Very valuable.
Educational.
Yeah. English as a spoken language. Here are the many meanings of go fuck yourself. No, it's good.
Hold my beer. So that's an English as a second language thing now that we have incorporated into our American society, guys. They're teaching that to people.
It seems like it'll be a flash in the pan phrase. Like, what are some other ones from the past? They come and go. Okay, so like on fleek.
Yeah,
What's
on fleek. That's gone.
Yeah. Normally they would be flying through my head, but now that I brought it up, I can't think of anything. So.
Oh gosh, we like, can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good. Can you hear me
That was
now?
one.
Oh
Okay,
God.
boomer. That's going.
That one's still going strong, but I think it might be on the way out in the near future.
It
Okay,
might be.
groomer is the next big thing, though. Onision is popularizing that phrase.
I like that.
Oh God, that just is so cringy. So we're coming up on almost 2.5 hours, guys. We can watch maybe one more video. We've got plenty of political. Do you want to see all of the stupid things Trump said from 2019?
No.
Sure. No?
Yeah, do it.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, it doesn't matter to me.
The most absurd quotes of 2019 from Trump. We'll round it out with that. And then I guess, it sounds good to me. All right, let's have a look at that.
Ready? You have the cameras rolling?
Oh, God.
I hate him so much.
Me too.
I could run for any office if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I had a meeting at the Pentagon. Lots
He's
of generals
probably
that were
peeing
like
his
from a
pants
movie.
now.
Better
Yeah,
looking than
he's
Tom
actually
Cruise.
not welcome in Scotland.
have all
Our
the
government told him he could piss off.
You can keep it going while we're talking because he's really not important.
Yeah, I'll shut up.
Technology in the world. I'm a professional in technology. When during the campaign, I would say Mexico's going to pay for it. Obviously, I never said this, and I never meant they're going to write out a check. I said they're going to
How
pay
he
for
can
it.
say something and then just flip it around.
Where
It's
do
like
these people come from?
No,
Where
he
do they
said
come
it.
They go back home to mommy. They get punished when they get home. I saw this man, tall, handsome, very charismatic, making horrible statements about wanting to destroy our country. And I'm writing a book. I think I wrote 12 books. All did very well. I just received a beautiful letter from Kim Jong-un. I can't show
Look
you
at that
the letter,
hair,
obviously,
like
but it
it's
was a
about to
very
blow off of his
personal,
head.
very warm, very nice letter. I appreciate it.
Cotton
Actually,
candy.
a
It's the
happy birthday letter,
weirdest
if you wanna know
hair.
that. It was my birthday. And he sent me a beautiful
And
letter.
it's
Happy birthday.
translucent as
Which is
well.
nice. If you tell a joke,
Had
if
a
you're
slug named after
sarcastic,
him.
if you're having fun with the audience, if you're in live television with millions of people and 25,000 people in an arena,
out of his mind
and if you say something like, Russia, please, if you can, get us Hillary Clinton's emails. Please, Russia, please.
Yeah, that's a felony.
Please get us the emails. Please. I'm going to be signing a national emergency. It's a great thing to do because we have an invasion of drugs, invasion of gangs, invasion of people. So we're going to confront the national security crisis on our southern border, and we're going to do it one way or the other. We have to do it. Not because it was a campaign promise, which it is. They say walls don't work. Walls work 100%. The Green New Deal, right? Green New Deal. I encourage it. I think it's really something that they should promote. Darling, is the wind blowing today? I'd like to watch television, darling.
Oh my God.
And when the wind stops blowing,
pause it for a
it doesn't make any difference.
A good part of the electricity that's generated in the Netherlands comes from wind power because they've been doing it for about 1,000 years and they're really good at it. And when the wind doesn't blow, the power doesn't go off because we have batteries and storage and distribution and buffering systems and all kinds of neat shit.
Yeah, but you have the highest rates of windmill cancer in the world over there.
Yeah, that's right. The windmill cancer is taking us down, man.
If it's not the windmill cancer, it'll be a nuclear hurricane. So one or the other.
Mm-hmm. This man is a
nuclear hurricane.
How can
Remember when he wanted to nuke the hurricane? Sorry.
Yeah, nuke the hurricane and buy Greenland.
Oh my God, the hit! You can't even remember them all. Every week it was like some, and you know what? Part of how he gets away with the actual crimes, and I don't know that he's gonna get away with it. I fear that he might.
He will. He's never gonna be in jail. No chance. It's not gonna happen.
I hope he gets at least not reelected, at least, but who knows? But like, it's one stupid thing after another, and the media's like, can you believe this idiot's going on about windmill cancer? Meanwhile, he's literally like breaking international laws to help cheat his way to winning re-election.
Yeah. I am of the opinion, and I'm going to make another Doc Savage prophecy because I'm getting really good at it. America doesn't lock up their presidents, current or former.
Even if they stole the election with the help of foreign interference,
he'll be pardoned. If
he can't
removed, he'll be pardoned.
No, he can't be pardoned for impeachment-related crimes. That's why Nixon resigned before the impeachment started.
I don't think he'll ever see the inside of a jail cell, but I think he'll be banished to the Shadowlands. You know, his best outcome of this is a reality TV show. And he'll almost certainly get it.
He should not be rewarded for this.
He will be. He will be.
I refuse to accept that, even though it's probably true. I don't want to accept it. I don't want to accept it.
I'm just saying I don't like it, but I'm kind of reading the landscape here, and that's how it's going to work out. I mean, look at Flavor Flav.
Oh, wow.
Trump. Flavor Flav comparison is
Flavor Flav would be a better president.
Yeah, he would.
He probably would be. But
he knows what time it is.
So would my sock, I think. So my sock with my polar bear sock with Sherpa lining.
I believe tequila would be a better president than Donald Trump. So
I was just imagining my 80-year-old dad, who is 80 years old, and all of the things that comes with that, standing up there instead of this near 80-year-old douchebag. Like, my dad would be a much better president. And he has no insight into much of this stuff, but he's an honest guy who isn't a scumbag, you know?
You know,
intelligent, you know?
I would like to be president, but at the same time, I really don't want to deal with all the crap that would be thrown at me in the current climate. Yeah, so it's just like... woman scientist, let's burn her. Certainly we can do that. Let's get the the bonfire pile together and just attach her to that and set it up. It's just that might be.
Are you in with the Bilderbergs? Because you're not going to be president unless you got their approval.
Yeah.
Friends of the show. Bilderbergs, friends of the
Yeah,
show.
we love the Bilderbergs.
Rothschilds, Bilderbergs, Vatican.
Merovingians.
So moonshine rum is what you said, Doc.
Yeah. This is very good. This is New Moonshiners rum, as drunk by famous pirates all over the world.
Oh, very cool. You'll have to send me the label or whatever. We drink moonshine. Anyway,
I've
that's
never had
completely.
that.
Oh God, we must hang out sometime, Omni.
Okay, that's fine with me. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
We can gang stalk targeted individuals.
And record it, because for posterity and science, of course. So
yeah, we'll gang stalk them until they call the cops on themselves.
Let's send them nasty thoughts.
So, as an aside, I've been on Omni's show before, and you had videos of a guy who dances like Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Something's going wrong with that guy. He stopped with his regular videos, and now he's recording in the bus. He's recording the reflection on the window, and he's can see invisible reptilians, EMF behind me, or people on the sidewalk, gang stalkers following me. It's there's been a serious psychotic break. He's no longer a fun Michael Jackson dancing little troll. So
oh, that's so sad. I really thought he had some game there for a while.
No, he doesn't.
Oh well. Well, we're on 2.5 hours, guys. So it's probably time to wrap it up. If you're cool with that, I don't know.
Yeah, I do need to do that, but it's been a great fun. I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun. So it's on hiatus for the foreseeable future. If we want to, we can bring it back. That's good. Doc's got stuff and things going on in his life he has to address, but it's okay. Do check out Omni Eris's channel. You might see a wild Doc Savage there from time to time. Got to get your groove on, walking along the darker side of YouTube. I have learned things from you guys, so thank you for that.
You'll never unlearn them either, much to your misfortune. That's right. You'll always know those people exist.
Yeah, we pay attention so that you don't have to.
Fair enough. And so this has been an amazing run of Oraldacity. This has been a lot of fun. Next Sunday, we will start This Week in BS, where it's kind of similar continuation. This was built around our personalities, so we'll put this in a box. If we want to bring it back, we can. But it's there if ever we want. But This Week in BS will be a lot of fun. I have Dr. Leah Torres next month with Nate Brody. I also have Science First coming in about misrepresentation of science in media. I have the fossil collector to talk about misrepresentation of that. So it's a broad span of things, and I'd love to have you back, Omni, to talk about stupid things, bad science associated with politicians, because they do that often.
Yeah, I can come back from time to time. I would love to.
Yeah. Might see Doc here sometimes when he's free, because your schedule has gotten crazy lately.
Yeah, depending on missions and how many passports I need to access and, weaponry and whatnot. So if I'm alive, you may see me, and if I'm not, well, you won't. And
we'll just clone you.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, what are you, this is the 100th iteration, right?
Yeah. Hopefully they'll improve the nose on the next one, but this one's working for now.
Fair enough. So this is the last episode of Oraldacity. Any last thoughts, Omni?
I just appreciate coming on, and it was fun. It's nice to talk about politics instead of just my usual favorite thing, tards. So yeah. Usually I just yell about politics inside of my head, and to a good friend of the show, Doug Messner.
Absolutely.
Just kidding.
Any last thoughts, Doc Savage? Any?
It's been a delight. I've really enjoyed this show and the run of shows. And subscribe to Mel. Give her all your money and make sure to thumb up everything that she ever does.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys for being here. And I guess I could be like really, really cheesy and end with Mr. Rogers. You always make each day special for me. You know how? Just your being you. I'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
I absolutely adore Doc.
Because I have testicles for some reason.